Welcome back to Marriage Minutes. We're on episode 8 of our new series, How to Get on the Same Page in Your Finances. And today is how to talk about money without fighting. And our verse today is out of James chapter 1, verse 19. And it says, "Understand this, my dear brothers and sisters. You must all be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry."
It's important to start by picking the right time and place to talk about money. There's definitely a wrong time and a wrong place to talk about money. This is where it's helpful to have a same page meeting scheduled every week.
Check out our same page meeting
check out
series.
the same page meeting series. But you want to pick the right time and place so that it's not during periods of high stress, at the end of a long day, when you're dealing with other tension.
On a date night.
Never talk about money
Horrible
on
time.
date nights. You got to pick the right time and place. And that sets you up to succeed and to have good conversations around money and not have that tension that's going to eventually end in a fight. And before you even start with your same page meeting about money, you want to have some ground rules set and have the ground rules be the same for every same page meeting. And that might look different for everybody. It might look different depending on what season you're in, but in your relationship, you need to know what your triggers are and set some ground rules around them. So maybe a good one is no blaming. So if there's some issues in the finances, don't start by blaming your partner. You can have a ground rule that says, we're not going to blame each other. We're going to attack this together side by side and not attack each other. Or you could have a ground rule that says you listen first and speak second. So you can take turns and have a ground rule of no interrupting, things like that. So know what the rules are before you sit down to talk about money.
And these are just some ideas. Obviously, you can create ground rules for whatever the makeup is for your conversation, but choose something and come up with some guidelines or some rules before you have these conversations, especially if it's a high stress conversation.
And every couple at some point or another has high stress conversations around money. It's also helpful to keep these conversations consistent. The more often you have them, the easier they are. The more often you have them, the shorter they become. So you don't have to have long, drawn out meetings about money. If you're meeting every week, even if you're meeting once a month, as long as you're being consistent and you have a plan, then it's going to relieve some of that tension. You'll know what to expect, and it'll make fights much less likely. You also won't get overwhelmed because you haven't talked about this in a long time. So I know when we first got married, this could be a high point of tension in our relationship because sometimes we would go months and not talk about money at all. And so once we got consistent, it was very helpful. And then finally, the most important thing you can do is to pray together before you enter into these conversations. Pray for God to be part of it. Pray that He would relieve any tension that exists. Pray that He would let you come to that meeting in a place of peace and grace. And that will change the whole tone of how the money conversation goes.
But make sure you have the conversation. Don't let months go by. It can be overwhelming. Rip it off like a Band-Aid and make it happen. We promise you that if you just make it happen and then stay consistent with it, it will not be overwhelming. It will not feel awkward. It'll be something that you really settle into, and it will grow your relationship in a big way. So here's our challenge. Schedule a 10-minute money talk this week. Start with prayer and make it happen. And literally just 10 minutes, especially if you've never done this before. So schedule it, talk together, schedule it, and pray first and make it happen. So that's all we have for you today. We'll see you tomorrow with episode 9.
Thanks for watching.